Hello there, welcome to the details of the stories. Now, the prime suspect in the murder of police officer Michael Koryi has been killed by police. The suspect, known as Doko America, is reported to have engaged the police in a gun battle at his hideout in Tema last night. JoyNews has also learned that some other suspects, including his wife, were picked up, as well as AK-47 and other ammunition. It's unclear if a planned visit by the RGP to the Tema Police Command will come off, but we'll get some update from our Tema correspondent shortly. But then the Tema Police has noted that the murder of the police personnel will not hamper their fight against crime in the area and the country as a whole. On the contrary, they say this will lead to extra security measures to stop crime. Before we get updates from Tema, here is a wrap of what police said about the murder yesterday.
Actually, it's rather very unfortunate that policemen who are there to protect the citizens, who are there to maintain law and order, should be attacked this way. But I must say it has rather gingered us up. It shows that we have to beef up security, and even though maybe they are looking at it in a different manner to to dissuade us, but I must say we are being encouraged to work more. We are going to work harder. We are not dissuaded by this kind of action. We are going to beef up security and make sure our mandate, that the work that we have chosen to do, we would execute it to the fullest. Well, we don't want to pinpoint any area, but as security men, we take into consideration the security measures that we need to put in place. So what we are doing now is we are not targeting any area, but we will make sure that we beef up security in all areas. Inspector General of Police, upon hearing this, immediately sent a high-powered delegation from the headquarters to join the Tema Regional Command. We have met. Fortunately, police officer also, he was an uncle to the fallen officer, so he came around. We contacted them. We are in contact with the family. We visited the family to inform them about the incident. And as I speak to you, the meeting is going on as to the way forward, what will be done, the measures to put in place. So we are doing everything to make sure that we curtail this kind of incident. We are on it. As I said, there is a police officer who is fronting for the family, and we are in constant communication as to what to be done. We met this morning, and I think everything is on course.
We can now speak with Kwame Yanka, our correspondent in Tema, for more on this story. Hello, Kwame.
Hello, Gifty.
Yes, Kwame, we understand at this point that the police say they are investigating circumstances that led to the shooting of the prime suspect. What more do we know at this point?
Okay, so Doko America, as we've been made aware today, is a gang leader. In fact, he commands about 60 persons in their land guard operations, as well as robbery. So aside being a suspect for the police when it comes to land guard related issues, he's also a found suspect when it comes to robbery within Tema region.
Okay. We also know that there were people who were picked up after he was killed. Can you take us through who they are, how many they are, and then we know that there was an AK-47 and other ammunition. Bring us up to speed on the details of those things.
Okay, so Tema Regional Police Commander, in the person of GCOP, well, he said after Constable Michael Koryi was shot dead, in fact, as part of investigations, they had links and intel that, these persons were coming from Doko America's group, so the police had to follow up. And then they had information yesterday that some persons have gathered around Washington Ashaiman, where they had to follow up immediately. And then they got to the set spots and then found these persons. But then they saw the police coming at them. They took to their heels. The police followed up. And then this led to the residence of Ogoyaro, where they found these weapons But the guy himself was at the residence, but then having noticed the danger at that point, managed to hide himself somewhere in the roofing. So when the police were in there searching for him, he was nowhere to be found, but dropped from the ceiling just to engage the police in a shootout. But unfortunately, he lost, the fight against the police at that point, where he was being rushed to the police hospital. He, however, couldn't make it and then died.
We know earlier that the IGP was to meet with the Tema Police Command. Did that happen? If it didn't, why did it not?
Okay, at this point, the official reason assigned for his absence has not been given. But then, Director of Operations, with some officials from the National Police Headquarters, visited the region and then briefed the media as to what is being done as far as security situation within Tema region, among other related issues are concerned.
As we speak now, where are the other suspects who were picked up? Are they still in the custody of the Tema police?
Okay, so for investigative purposes and then as far as going after, we made aware that about 60 persons are within the America's group. So to go after the rest of these people, they would want to be quiet as far as details of their arrest and then operations, among other strategies in place, are concerned. So for now, yes, ammunition and other sophisticated items retrieved from the residents of America, are made open to the media or to the public. But as what is being done successfully behind the scenes, that is not really clear.
And are there any timelines that's been given by the police as to what to expect next, even as they say they're going to beef up security in the area?
Oh yes, but okay, for specific details, they said no, because security, as you know, once you put your strategy out, it's very easy for your opponent to counter and then come against you. So for specifics and then in terms of timeline given themselves, they could not make that available, but they gave the assurance to the public that they will go at all lengths and then, arrest these people if they need be, engage them if they shoot out or anything, make sure that residents within Tema region are safe and then can go about their daily duties.
All right, thank you very much. Kwame Yanka is our correspondent in Tema there, bringing us up to speed on what's happening with the murder of that police officer. We know that the Interior Minister has been touring some key agencies in the country. Maxwell Agbagba has that report. He'll join us pretty shortly with that report. We'll also touch base with Kumasi to find out what the police are saying over the family of a 78-year-old man who was stabbed to death, demand for investigations because they believe that it is a contract killing. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia. We're still talking security here in this country. And we've looked at what's happening with the police who was murdered and what the police is doing about it. Very soon we'll bring you what the Interior Minister has been up to and what he's been saying. But right now, let's do a very quick analysis of the situation. David Agbe is head of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security, joins me over the phone for a quick discussion. Hello, David. Thank you very much for your time here on The Pulse.
Yes, good afternoon, Gifty.
All right. I believe you've been following the development over the past week. I mean, one of the biggest that hit us as a country was the death. Not that yes, it was that. Hold on. One of the biggest, of course, though, is big in terms of how gruesome the murder was and how far the discussion went. The lynching of Captain Major Mahama. And just yesterday, we saw a policeman killed. This morning, or last night, the prime suspect, of course, has also been killed by the police who were engaged in a gun battle. Those are just a few incidences of increasing security concerns, wouldn't you say?
Yes, exactly so. I've been following keenly all those incidents which has happened or is happening currently in this country, and so it is quite worrisome issue as we speak. And I think that it is not good news for this country. But what we need to do is to make sure that we put in preventive measures such that those incidents we could, erase it, as the years, move on.
Well, as a security, as an agency or as an organization that looks and follows security issues, what reason can you ascribe to what we're seeing? In just this month, we've seen a couple of lynching as well. Are there any reasons that can be ascribed to some of these things so that we can begin to look at the solutions, perhaps?
Yes, this year I must say that look at it with abandoned civilization. When a country, many of us are not civilized, you will tend to experience some of these, happening. And so most of the country or most of the citizens are more civilized. Some of these incidents will continue to occur. In every country that you realize that the citizens are more civilized and they approach issues based on the fact that we have state agencies there, the police is there, the military is there, and other security agencies are there, and their level of preparedness of making sure that they protect the citizens, they are all aware of the circumstances of the situation, and they are more proactive in terms of addressing the concerns of ordinary citizens. Some of these things will not occur. But look at it, Ghana, we are developing, and our democratic, credentials is going up. But then we've also left majority of the citizens somewhere. We are not growing with those citizens that one way or the other, you realize that their appreciation as far as modernity and how citizens supposed to behave, we've left them behind. And so it's more like those people do not have a sound footing as to how the nation is moving towards, modernization. And so those are some of the things that we need to be thinking about. This incident of lynching is not today. It has happened before. I do recall one of the bad incidents that happened was in 2002 thereabout. A public administrator, a hospital administrator in Bronahapo, a place called, I'm just trying to recollect the name. That gentleman, the hospital administrator, was also lynched. Atronie, the town is called Atronie. That, hospital administrator was also lynched, and graphic and all the media houses published it. And so it's more like those issues. Professor Atepa has addressed many of those issues as a criminologist, and we try as much as, trying to cite the whole nation that this is not the way forward. And we thought that Ghanaians, we've learned a lesson, not knowing that we still have bad nuts among us. And so that is why this incident happened to Captain Mahama at Dentra Obuasi and the whole country. You were not in the country, you were in other states, but I believe that you heard of those, stories. Everybody was crying to the fact that no, it is a bad, incident, and so the psychology of the people of Dentra Obuasi is not good at all.
Well, let's not. So just so we don't focus or just limit it to Dentra Obuasi, we're looking at the bigger picture and whether or not some of these issues that we're seeing, or some of these security breaches, as I'll call it, as we're seeing, raise cause for alarm. Are there certain things that we should be concerned about, or would you say it is just, normal phenomena of a developing country? Like you say, well, people are not. You use the word civilized, but let's say people are not uneducated, if you like to put it that way. Is there a real issue of concern, or is it just a part of the evolution of a developing country? How would you describe it?
It is a worrying phenomenon, which as a country we need to find an antidote to it. And that antidote is more of trying to sensitize our citizens. Okay. The psychology of this country, we need to make it a point that we try to cite many of Ghanaians who have that perception that as soon as you've heard a news that somebody has stolen an item or here and there, and therefore the method of it is to try to lynch the person and.
Well, sorry. Yeah, David, you're making a point about the psychology of this country and how we'll have to work on the psychology of this country. That for you is the antidote, but how?
Gypsy, it is all about the fact that how do we guide our citizens so that they will reverse from that point of thinking that as soon as you pick that information that somebody is a thief, somebody is an armed robber, and so therefore the whole community needs to go in there and attack the person and kill the person instantly. Many of the people do call it instant justice, which it is never a justice. I mean, if you study human rights and some of these things happen, you will say that this is, I mean, debasement of the human dignity, which does not occur in any civilized society. And so it is the fact that we need to approach the issue by, making it a conscious effort of, sensitizing Ghanaians that no, it is a Stone Age period that some of these things do occur. But as far as we have gotten to a point of modernization, we need to carry our citizens along so that they will be able to live in civility. But addressing it from a security point of view too, I must say that our security agencies need to be more proactive than ever. This point calls for a very robust security forces. This period calls for agility, the speed of addressing concerns of citizens. When an incident is reported at police station, how police officers address those things, devoid of being lackadaisical towards addressing the concerns of our citizens, is also a contributory factor. And so, and it is not the security agencies too. Our judicial system is also part of the problem. When an issue goes to court, the way they handle those issues, it's not good at all. And people need justice. And so when some of these incidents happen, you won't expect that, a country that touts itself of having a good legal system, having, a good judicial system. Our approach in terms of
my final question to you, David, will be for you to touch briefly on. I'm curious to find out whether, as an organization that tracks security issues in the country, whether or not you've come across information that suggests perhaps that there are too many arms in the wrong hands. Because away from lynching, we've also seen the recent case of the policeman who was who was shot and killed this morning, last night actually. The prime suspect was killed also by police. A number of shooting incidences, of course, that you can put your fingers on. Is there any indication from perhaps the research that you've conducted that there are so many arms in the wrong hands and how that could be dealt with?
Yes, it is a fact that so many unregistered arms are in the hands of ordinary Ghanaians, and so therefore we need to address it. To address it, we have institutions which worked on that. The Commission for Small Arms and the Ghana Police Service, they work in tandem of making sure that people who buy guns, the small arms, the pistol, and the small rifle, they have to register it. But here we are that, we realize that, yes, the small arms are dotted around the country, but it also comes as a result of the fact that urbanization is playing a critical role. If you have an asset, if you have a house, if you have a very posh car, the next leg of your action and your psyche is that you may feel a bit of uncomfortable as a result of the fact that, one, you need a security and you also need a self-preservation, which is a natural a natural law that everybody has to protect himself against any foreseen event or any unforeseen circumstances.
Right.
And so one point to the other, because of self-preservation, some people want to own a gun. Aside that, we have people who have obsessions and a fascinating attitude towards owning a gun, which all those things, psychology-wise, it comes to play that when I own a gun, I can also protect or preserve my dignity or protect myself, protect my livelihood.
So in a few words, from a security perspective, as we wrap up this conversation, your final word will be how we can deal with this as a nation. What would you say?
I think that we should have a mechanism of regulating all the small arms, in this country, with the Commission for Small Arms. It falls within their ambit, and they need to work in tandem with the Ghana Police Service so that they will make it more easier for ordinary people who have, a gun to make sure that they register all those guns. And don't also forget that within the corridors of West African sub-region, because of various conflicts and war among, each country, we tend to have all those guns dotted around the shores of our neighboring country. And so we need to be able to make it a point that immigration service and other security, officers
need to put in more checks
so that we can be able to protect our territory.
Okay. Thank you very much, David, for your time here on The Pulse. David Agbe is head of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. I will bring you what the Interior Minister is doing in just a bit before.